Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience. Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener, are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. I am your host, Arlen Robinson, and today we have a very special guest, Joris Bryon, who is the founder and CEO of Dexter Agency, a remote team of e-commerce conversion optimization and email marketing specialists. The agency serves high-revenue e-commerce stores that are ready for continuous growth. With over 1,500 A/B tests under his belt, Joris wrote the book, Kill Your Conversion Killers, to help all the online stores he hasn't worked with yet. Welcome to the podcast, Joris.
Thanks, Arlen. Great being here.
Yes, no problem. I'm super excited to talk to you. I love that book title though as well. Kill Your Conversion Killers. That's a catchy title, definitely.
Yeah, I guess with a name like Dexter Agency, Kill Your Conversion Killers, kind of, if you remember the show, kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, good stuff, man. I like that. Today we're going to be talking about, what really is kind of your bread and butter, which is conversion optimization, conversion rate optimization, and how, e-commerce businesses can really take advantage of that, what they need to do to really improve their conversion rates. Because that's really the hot topic these days with the influx of all of these online buyers. The bottom line is, you can drive as much traffic to your site, as humanly possible. Hopefully you're going to shed some light into that. But yeah, definitely. But before we get into all of that, if you don't mind telling us a little bit more about your background and specifically how you got into what you're doing today.
Yeah, so I've been around pretty long now in marketing. I've started in marketing about 20 years ago, and I started like a classical advertising agency route, and I worked in advertising agency for about 10 years. At the end, I hated it. It was like a bunch of discussions, all driven by emotion and gut feeling, like, make this blue, make this red, put this logo on top, put it on the bottom, make it bigger,
right.
make it smaller.
Right.
I hate that kind of discussions. I kind of gradually evolved into digital marketing. And from digital marketing, I started like what most people do, PPC, SEO. So that was the beginning days. And then after a while, I discovered conversion optimization, and I totally fell in love with it because it kind of brought all my background back to the digital marketing sphere. So I knew a lot about design, psychology, copywriting, but then it added the data into the mix, more statistics, digital analytics, that kind of stuff. So basically, I realized that all the previous discussions I ever had in classical advertising agencies about make it blue, make it red, make it bigger, make it smaller, that could go away by A/B testing it. And so I still had all that background, that knowledge, but I could now apply it in the online world and avoid all those discussions that I hate, because right now it's just about, let's test it.
Yeah, exactly. That is the bottom line. And I definitely echo your sentiment with regards to those meetings, because, as a founder here on our end, as a founder here at OSI Affiliate Software, I've been in those meetings before with, kind of our design team. And yeah, it's hard to get through where you're down to talking about, should it be blue? Should it be orange? Where does this go here? Yeah, those meetings drove me crazy as well.
Yeah, they drain your energy, and at the end of the day, you're asking the wrong people because you decided in a meeting in the company, but actually you should ask the user, and that's what you do with A/B testing. You
exactly.
Just check what works best for the user.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Yeah, I mean, you can pick colors out of a hat all day. That's not going to make a difference. The bottom line is what is going to be more appealing to users, what is going to have the typical user convert better. So the only way to find that out is like you said, A/B testing. And, at that point, the proof is going to be in the pudding for sure, so to speak. So, of course, as I mentioned at the top of this recording, we're going to be diving deep into conversion rate optimization. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that subject? What is it? And what are some typical ways to kind of increase your conversion rates?
Yeah, so what is it? I mean, even the term conversion rate optimization, I think it's not like a great term. I write about that in the book as well, because the term conversion rate optimization, it kind of focuses too much on the conversion rate. And I mean, optimizing your conversion rate is pretty easy. You cut your prices in half and you'll get a higher conversion rate. But at the end of the day, that's not going to make you a lot of money. I'd say like conversion optimization, and I drop the term rate in it. So I say conversion optimization is it's called the art and science to increase your revenue by working with what you already have. And so that's working on your conversion rate, but it's also working on the average order value, trying to increase that, but also working on the purchase frequency that you already have customers. So why not try and sell more to the same customer? So I like to look at it from that angle, because at the end of the day, if you look at it, there's only 4 ways to grow an e-commerce. I'm talking about e-commerce here because that's our specialty, but it's traffic. You can add some traffic. It's conversion rate. You can increase your conversion rate. It's purchase frequency. You can increase that, or you can try and increase your average order value. Those are the only 4 levers that you can pull to grow your store. And I think there's way too much focus on the traffic side of things, and there's a lot of opportunities still in trying to increase what you already have. So you have customers, so you can increase that purchase frequency. You have those transactions, you can try and increase the average order value. And you have those site visitors, so you can try and convert more of those. So I'd say conversion optimization to me is trying to increase your revenue by working with what you already have. Okay. Now, second part of your question, what should you do? I think, there's no time to go in detail here because after all, I've written a book of more than 200 pages about it. But I think a couple of main principles here is I think working on clarity. So really trying to make things clear. If people don't understand what you sell, you're not going to be able to sell, and that's a big problem. And it's probably the most overlooked problem. And that starts with people landing on your site, not really immediately understanding what you stand for, what you're selling, and why they should buy from you. But it's also in pictures, for instance, there's missing information. You need a detailed shot from one angle to understand your product better or to make that decision. Sometimes it's like tiny copy that is missing, like I don't know, what fabric is it made of? So a lot of working on that clarity is super essential. It's one of the most overlooked things, I guess, in conversion optimization. I think there's still a lot of people that think of conversion optimization as being all about psychological principles. That's nice, but at the end of the day, if your site is not working well, people don't understand it, it's not accessible, it's not fast, it's not intuitive, not a single psychological trick in a book is going to work. Another thing that a lot of people think is it's all about design. And yes, design is important, but I think copy is at least as important for your conversions. So that's another thing to work on, is really on your copy. And then another principle is really trying to remove any kind of friction or frustration that your visitors might have, and that could be anything, but start with your forms. Typically, people don't like to fill out forms, and there's a lot of things that go wrong in forms. So have a look at those, make sure that they work correctly, that all your error messages are helpful. So that kind of stuff, make it easy for them to buy from you. It's also working on trust. So by adding reviews and testimonials, by adding a good About Us page, and not just an About Us page that says like, hey, we were founded in that year, and that's our mission statement, but really something that people can relate to, show the founders, show the people, that helps, that creates trust. But another thing that creates trust is building that brand, working on that brand, for instance, so that's a long-term play, obviously. And I'd say like another principle that's important is trying to remove any kind of distraction. So and that's something that I see happen a lot is there's so many things going on a page that you're so distracted, and you have to decide first, like, what do I want my visitor to do on this page? What is the most wanted action? And then you got to focus on that most wanted action, and anything that doesn't contribute to that most wanted action of that particular page, you can get rid of it.
Yeah.
And that's also an important principle. I mean, it's very high level, but those are a couple of principles that are definitely important to keep in mind when you try and optimize the site.
Yeah, definitely. And those are definitely very helpful. You mentioned a few things. I have heard those experts. I've heard different podcasts, read different blog articles about the psychology of the buyer, and then how you need to, do certain things, use certain images. But yeah, I think there's really nothing that can trump the core principles of, just meeting the needs of those visitors. What have they what are they coming there to find? How are you going to make it clear to them what it is that you are providing? And, ultimately, once you get those questions answered, then, creating a smooth path for them to ultimately make the conversion and pull out their credit card or whatever it is. So, yeah, there's really no way around that, no matter what type of psychology tricks that you try to, try to pull out there. But I've seen a lot of them.
No, those are sexy. So I get it. There's a lot of blog posts about those because it's sexy, but at the end of the day, it's not always the most important thing.
That's true. And one other thing also I wanted to bring up is I think a lot of times site owners, people that are managing these e-commerce sites, there's really kind of like a dance that they're playing between really meeting the needs of their customer, but at the same time trying to meet the needs of Google and the major search engines, because, there's a lot of things that need to happen on the website, of course, in order to rank well for Google. There's a lot of on-page SEO things that have to be done, content placement, you name it. And so I think a lot of times owners or white website developers, they get caught up with just trying to focus so much on, all right, what is Google looking for? And then kind of forgetting about really the end goal, which is meeting their needs of the customer. And so I think a lot of businesses fall into that trap. Which is focusing too much on, all right, is this going to be good in the eyes of Google? But ultimately, they have to think about that really Google really only wants to provide the best user experience. And so you got to think about, all right, once they land on my site, am I answering those questions that they came to Google for? So that's really kind of the biggest thing. I'm a huge advocate of tools and resources, especially nowadays, because there are so many things out there to make our jobs easier as marketers, as e-commerce business owners. And so from your experience and the things that you've done, what are some tools that are out there that can really help with these conversion optimization strategies?
I think a lot of tools that I find important are really centered around trying to understand what people are trying to do on your site. So really trying to get insights into that user behavior. I mean, this is like a very obvious one, but Google Analytics is still crucial. The thing with Google Analytics, though, is that it gives a lot of data, and you have to extract the insights from it. So a lot of people I meet, they kind of get drowned in the data in Google Analytics. You don't need more data, you need more insights from it. And they look at metrics that are nice to know, but at the end of the day, if you look at a metric and you cannot really use it to improve your site or your marketing, then it's useless. So if you look at a metric and then you gotta say like, hey, okay, how can you use this? If there's no answer to that, then just drop it. So Google Analytics will tell you where you have problem areas on your site, but it still doesn't tell you why you have those problems on your site, or people dropping off, for instance, on certain steps of the checkout. So still, I see a lot of people falling into the trap, like, okay, I've seen this in Google Analytics, so this is what's happening, but that's not true, because you cannot deduct that from Google Analytics. You don't know why that's happening. And that's where you need more qualitative research tools, I'd say. And one of my all-time favorite methods to do that is user testing or usability testing, whatever you want to call it. And a tool that we always use for that is user feel So that's just userfield.com, and I believe it's like 59. It's pounds. No, it's dollar. $59 for one user test. So they have a pool of testers, and then you can give them a couple of assignments. People have to comment out loud what they're doing, and you see their screen recorded at the same time, and it's so powerful to really see people using your site. So if you have to pick one tool, go for userfield. There's others as well, like usertesting.com, but just go for user testing tool. That's awesome. Other tools that you can use, I think Hotjar doesn't need any explanation. It's pretty well known. But stuff also like Zuko, that's Zuko. You can use that for form analysis. So if you notice, for instance, in your checkout that you have a huge drop-off in one of your steps, then you still don't know if there's like one particular field in your checkout or in your checkout form that is causing that drop-off. With a tool like that, you can zoom into that, and you can really understand, like, oh, okay, people seem to be making a lot of mistakes here in this step, or dropping off in this step of the form. So you can kind of zoom in where the problem is. And then there's like, this might surprise you in this list, but the phone, your phone is still a great tool to understand user behavior. If you can, after checkout, for instance, you can send them an email like, hey, can we hop on a call? And I'd just like to ask you a couple of questions that can really help you. But also chatting, a chat tool that could be like Intercom or ManyChat or whatever. That will help you a lot to improve your conversions. I'm a big fan of chat, because what it does is there's always a lot of people that have questions, and many of those will not ask the question. They'll just go to another site and order there, because their questions are answered there. So with the chat option, if you have a chat tool, people will ask that question to you, and so you can sell to them in the short term, but you'll learn a lot from it, and you can change your site and add that missing information that people are asking for, so that other people who don't even do the effort to or make the effort to chat with you, so that they can convert and find that information as well. So chat is probably an overlooked conversion optimization tool. You're right. And then obviously, I mean, there's others. There's plenty of them, like tools for a site speed, because a slow site is a killer as well. Like there's webpage.org, there's GD metrics and others. But I think like when it comes to second phase, so the first phase is really trying to understand what's happening, and then you start to solve potential problems by A/B testing. And for A/B testing, I think Google Optimize is a great A/B testing tool. It's free, so just get started with that. If you need to upgrade to a paid version of an A/B testing tool because Google Optimize is not enough for you, then I highly recommend Convert. So Convert.com. It's a great A/B testing tool, great value for money. We've been using Convert for last 5 years or so. And it's one of the most overlooked A/B testing tools, but it's brilliant. And there's, I think the better known versions are like Visual Website Optimizer and Optimizely, A/B Tasty. Those are like other players in the A/B testing tool world.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing those tools. One thing that I think you did say that is overlooked is the fact that, there's all these solutions out here that provide all of this data. We're kind of in the whole world of data now. There's so much, there's more than ever. But the bottom line is, it's where the data can make a significant difference is that insights that you gain from it. And it's just certain strategic ways of doing that. Like you said, the user testing is a big thing. I know a lot of business owners are, they're making decisions a lot of times on their website, their product placement, their messaging, and their verbiage based on, just them and their internal teams. And you gotta get outside of your group, outside of your team, and get fresh eyes on it to determine, what's the average person seeing, what do they say? So those tools are definitely very, very useful. We've used them a few times internally here on our end, and that's something that we've had discussions about on our end here to do a lot more of, because we kind of get caught up in what we think is best, but at the bottom line is we don't know what the end user is saying, or our typical visitor is seeing, or what they're thinking.
And it can be very confronting, right? If you see someone struggling on your site, you're like, oh.
It can be tough to watch, but I think it can definitely help a lot. It's very beneficial. Now, there's, of course, as you've mentioned, a lot of things that you can do to improve your conversion rates, a lot of different, the tactics and strategies. But at the end of the day, what really are some of the key performance indicators that are going to measure the effectiveness of any of these changes that you make or any of this optimization that you do?
Yeah, we really like to look at revenue, obviously, and profit as well. The conversion rate as such is just, it's an indication, but it's not always the most important metric, although it's called conversion rate optimization. We've had instances where the conversion rate was lower, but profit was higher because there was a great upsell that with a lot of margin. And obviously, you decide to implement that, although conversion rate is lower, but because of the profit that goes up, the client is making more money. So it makes sense to implement that. So don't get too hung up on conversion rate. Look at your revenue. That's the main thing, revenue and profit. And that's the most important metric. And then depending on the test that you're running, if you're really focusing on trying to get people add something into the cart, for instance, you can look at, is the add to cart rate going up or not? But at the end of the day, if that doesn't lead to more transactions, it's just nice to have moved the needle there, but it doesn't really make you more money. So focus on the money. That's
that is the bottom line. Really, what's your bank account saying to all of these changes that you're making?
Absolutely.
There's no way around that for sure. Well, Joris, as we get ready to wrap things up, I'm always kind of a keen advocate of looking at success stories, case studies, and other companies that have been successful with certain, strategies. So what businesses that you're familiar with that have been successful with optimizing their conversion rates, and what are some specific things that they've done?
I'd say all of our clients, obviously, no, generally speaking, the ones that the highest conversion rate I've ever seen was on an e-commerce of a flower company. And I believe they had, if I remember correctly, it's been a few years now, but I believe it was like 19% conversion rate, wow. Like the conversion, like the final transaction. Mm-hmm. That's insane, but they had a couple of things going for them. First of all, they had a high brand recognition, so the brand really helped. But when do you buy flowers online? Because it's urgent, like, oh, my mom's birthday is coming up tomorrow, so I have to buy now. So there's urgency involved, and when you go to that kind of site, you already know you're going to buy flowers. So they really had a couple of things going for them. Other than that, typically what I see, like strong brands, sites that people trust, and so a brand really contributes to that trust factor. They typically have somewhat high conversion rate. Anything also with a lower dollar value can have a much higher conversion rate than anything obviously with a higher dollar value. And I'd say like anything below $20-$25 is still an impulse purchase. So those typically have a lot higher conversion rate as well. And any brand that really understands their customers and focuses on those customers. I still talk to a lot of e-commerce owners when I ask them, like, okay, who's your customer persona? Who are you serving? They say like, women over 50, Caucasian, and that's about it. What they know about their customer. So the ones that really focus on their customers. So a lot of D2C brands are getting that. They understand that they service a specific kind of customer, and they know that customer really well. They typically do very well when it comes to conversion rate as well.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, thank you for highlighting those that, kind of definitely allows us to see what can be done. And, these things do work for, definitely for sure. One final question, though, before we kind of let you go, that I was thinking about it. And when you mentioned A/B testing, it's something that I think comes up a lot from different blogs that I've seen and different articles. There's two, I think, schools of thoughts with regards to A/B testing. What I've heard, and maybe you can agree to this, maybe you don't, a lot of people say with A/B testing, it's really only effective if, let's say you're testing maybe various calls to action on your site, or maybe you're testing different landing pages, or just for example. what I've heard is that A/B testing really is only effective if you're getting a certain amount of website traffic. If you're just starting off, your traffic is really very minimal. You're not getting too many visitors. It's not worth the while. Would you say that's the case?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I mean, the danger of running an A/B test with not enough traffic is that you'll end the test way too soon. It hasn't reached statistical significance, and it can still flip if you have more traffic. What you think is a winner could still become a loser, or the other way around. So just to give you some kind of idea, if you have like 250 to 300 conversions per variation, that's usually enough. I mean, this is like shortcut. It's more complicated than that, but 250 to 300 per variation, then it could make sense to run an A/B test. So that could be the final transaction, which is ideal, obviously. But it could also be like if you want to see that add to cart button clicked, for instance, if you consider that your conversion, you could test like that as well. But then you're still not going to be sure if that really moves the needle when it comes to revenue.
Okay, gotcha. Well, yeah, thank you for explaining that. I mean, that's kind of what I thought was the case from everything that I've read and seen. Because, like you said, if it's not enough traffic, then most likely you're going to end it too early. You just don't have enough data there to make a solid decision. So
I think the best thing you can do in that case is really do a lot of user testing and get into the minds of your customer and make the best decision based on that and make some changes.
Makes total sense for sure. Well, it's definitely been awesome having you on, Joris. I've definitely learned a lot. I always do with every episode, and I know our listeners have as well. But I always like to pivot here. My last question, just to kind of switch gears here so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. If you don't mind sharing one kind of closing fun fact that you think our audience would be interested to know about yourself.
I'm a huge cycling nerd. And maybe there's only a few cycling enthusiasts listening to the show, but fun fact, I had the honor of getting a private tour through the factory of Eddy Merckx with the man himself, and the name may not ring a bell to you, but I'm from Belgium, he's Belgian. He's only the biggest or the best cyclist in history of cycling, and I had a private tour. And that was awesome.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that gentleman, but I could imagine if he's kind of up there and you got a private tour of his, you said his factory?
Factory, yeah, before he sold it. Yeah, that was like 10 years ago, but it's still
gotcha.
Top of mind for me. Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, that's awesome. I know that's a big deal for sure. So, all those cycling enthusiasts I know kind of probably flipped over that. Well, thank you. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Cycling is kind of big for me as well. During these lockdowns, here in Florida, I've done a lot of biking, a lot more biking than I probably would have if there hadn't been, because when everything else was shut down, couldn't do too much else but go outside, walk, bike, you name it.
It's great activity. Yeah.
It is. It definitely is. Well, yeah, like I said, thanks for sharing that, Joris. But before we let you go, if any of our listeners want to reach out to you and pick your brain any more about conversion rate optimization or conversion optimization in general, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. And then you can also email me, just Joris at Dexter.Agency. And yeah, maybe if you want to grab a free PDF version of my book, you can just go to Dexter.Agency/free-book, and you can access a free PDF version of my book there, so you don't have to buy it on Amazon.
Okay, gotcha. Well, thank you for offering that. We appreciate that. Definitely encourage anyone interested to, connect with you and check out your book, and see how they can take their, their conversions up a notch for sure. Well, thank you again, Joris, for joining us today on the E-commerce Marketing Podcast.
Thanks, Arlen.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level but are tired of weeding through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.